Readers Entertainment Radio presents Booklights with your host, author Lisa Kessler. Booklights, where we're shining a light on good books.
Hello, everyone. Thanks so much for tuning into Booklights. You guys are in for a huge treat today. We are welcoming author Andrew Givler to our podcast. And if you have not read his books yet, you are in for a treat. There's quite a backlist of fantasy books for you. And I will read his bio here so you can get to know him. Andrew is the author of the Debt Collection and the Ironbound series. He's also a gaming YouTuber known as Sigils. I think I said that right. With over 1.4 million subscribers on YouTube. He loves making people laugh. He loves video games and food, not always in that order. He does live out in LA. And if you want to learn more about him, you can go to his website. There is a link to his website right in the show notes. So feel free to jump in there, take a look around at his books. And I think he has a newsletter you can sign up for as well as links to go check out that giant YouTube channel and even more. So without any further delay, Andrew, are you there?
I'm here. Thank you for having me.
All right. Thanks so much for being here with us today. So you have a book called Ironbound, and we have quite a contingent of fantasy readers on Booklights. So you want to tell everybody what it's about and why they should go grab a copy?
Sure. So Ironbound is a Roman Empire inspired progression fantasy. So it's very built around like the magic system and the power in the world and about the character's journey in acquiring power. In this world, which sort of feels like a fallen Roman Empire, magic is a limited resource. The only way that people gain magic is actually by symbiotically fusing with a special metal that falls from the sky that has to be collected. So only the most worthy are chosen. You know, you spend your life sort of competing to try to earn this right, which the main character does. And on that journey, there's a lot of corruption. There's a lot of shady dealings, things like that. And the main character gets caught in a lot of these things that sort of spiral him off and ruin his life, have some bad things happen to him. No spoilers, you know, the tradition.
Right. Yeah. But dang it, everything goes wrong.
Actually, it's just a book where everything's fine. Nothing bad happens, and it's a great time.
Everyone lives happily ever after.
Yeah. There was no drama at the end.
They were all well-rounded and everything was fine.
Yeah, there was just no character flaws. Everybody was happy. It was great.
Well, can you tell us what inspired this book? Because I think it's really interesting that it's kind of, you know, Roman Empire kind of inspired, because usually when you jump into a fantasy, you expect, you know, kind of Lord of the Rings kind of ish. So can you tell us what inspired you to go toward the Romans?
Yeah, I mean, I think it's a lot of things. I have a classic literature, liberal arts background. I grew up reading a lot of the like classic literature, Greek and Roman myths.
Right.
But I think a really formative moment for me probably was when I was about 14 years old. I was like the kid that all my librarians knew. I was there all the time. I was reading everything. And one of my librarians pulled me aside and said, "This book just came out, and I think that it fits sort of the kind of thing that you would like to read. So I saved it for you. I think you should check it out. It's a author is another series that's very popular, and I think you'd like it." And that was Jim Butcher's Codex Alera, which is, of course, like a Roman Empire. And I read it and was like, this is awesome. And so I had always wanted to write something kind of like with a Roman flair to it, probably ever since then. And then, you know, it was funny. There's that trend on TikTok like a year or two ago where a woman figured out that her boyfriend thought about the Roman Empire every single day. And so, yeah. I was like, when that happened, I was writing it, and I was like, well, I'm thinking about it every single day, I guess. Like, this makes sense.
You're so seen.
Yeah, I was like, one of my friends literally texted me. She said, "How often do you think about the Roman Empire?" And I was like, constantly. And she was like, "I don't believe you." And then I sent her the book, and she went, oh, "Okay."
Proof.
Yeah.
Love it. Well, when you were digging into the Roman Empire and you decided, you know, they were such a mess, what they needed is magic.
Yeah, they would have been fine if they just had a little magic.
Just a little magic could have saved everything. Do you have, like, did you pull in real history, or is it all fantasy? It's a different world, but like Roman.
It is a different world, but like Roman. But there is some overlap as well. So they use the same pantheon. They use some of the same myths and legends. It's sort of like
Okay.
a twisted or warped version. But it's not full of like the same historical figures. You know, Julius isn't
Okay.
running around, that kind of thing. But it has a lot of the same lore.
All right. All right. I love that. Well, when you were writing it, did you have any big surprise? I don't know if you're a plotter or a pantser,
Oh, I'm
but
a
did
panther
you?
for sure.
Oh, perfect.
Yeah.
So did you have big surprises where a character went right and you were expecting a left? I mean,
Oh
what?
yeah. All the time. That happens to me a lot. I think I say I'm a pantser. I usually think I know where I'm going, but
Right.
I'm very willing to abandon it if I find something better along the way.
Hmm.
And so the core story of Ironbound hasn't changed too much, but there is this big plot line. Well, actually, I say that, but that's not really true. There's this big plot line about how the gods are dead in their version, right?
Hmm.
So they believe that they killed their gods, and they are sort of living in a post-god society. And I didn't know that when I started writing the book. And
Oh.
then I was throwing around, you know, the classic Roman god names. And then one of the characters just sort of, it struck me that she would say, the gods are dead. And I was like, that's cool. And then that has turned into a rather big portion of the book. But I did not know that at the beginning.
Going into it.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. Oh, I love that. Do you have, I mean, without spoilers, do you have a favorite scene in Ironbound that you were like, dude, this is why I wrote this book?
Um, I do. It's hard to talk about some of them without spoilers.
Oh, okay.
I, there's a couple different moments. I think one of the things that I like about using something like that's familiar history to us
Right.
is I get to skip over explaining little things. I can sort of like let it trickle in and let people be like, well, I saw Gladiator, so like I kind of know what I'm like dealing with here.
Right.
And so I think there's a couple different scenes where things finally come together in like sort of surprising ways that I got away with because I got to use people's sort of expectation.
Hmm.
And I liked that a lot. That's one of
Oh,
my other series is urban fantasy, and so that's a thing that like you get to do in urban fantasy a lot is like, well, you know what a cell phone is, you know what this is, so I don't have to explain it. And so those are some of my favorite world building things to get to do.
right. Right. Well, I'm glad that you brought up the urban fantasy because I noticed you have a new book coming in that series too, right? The Debt
Yes,
Collective series.
yes.
So,
Book 5 comes out in February.
So, can you tell everybody about that series?
Sure.
Because that might be something they can jump in now and read those books so they're ready for February.
That's right. Yeah. So the Debt Collection is an urban fantasy story. It's about a young man who's kind of a loser. At the beginning of the series, he's 25 years old. It's his 25th birthday, and he's not going anywhere in life. He's suffered a lot of tragedy. Things are not going well, and he's approached by a demon out of the blue. And the demon says,
As you do.
normal stuff, right?
Yeah.
Uh,
Yeah.
yeah, it's just a Tuesday for him.
Uh-huh.
And the demon says, "Listen, we can fix all this. We can give you a perfect life. How about a decade of perfection in exchange for your soul?" And the main character is very down on his luck. Things are not going well. But he is like, "Nah, man, I've seen that TV show. Like, no, thank you.
Right?
Like, yeah,
It's monkey's paw. It will
yeah,
never be
yeah, yeah,
good.
yeah. No, like even I am not that desperate."
Right.
But the demon salesman is a really bad salesman. He's very behind on his quota. He's under a lot of pressure from his management, and he forges his signature on the contract and runs off into the night. And so suddenly the main character's life just like completely 180s, turns around, and great things start happening. And instead of being excited, he's like, "Oh no,
I didn't sign.
yeah, this isn't what I wanted." So he has to go on a quest to figure out how to, get his soul back before time runs out. And in doing so, he makes some enemies, he makes friends, he sort of gets exposed to the wider supernatural world around him, which then over the course of the books, there are problems they're solving and new ones they're making as they go while they're still on that quest to get his soul back. So the first one's called Soul Fraud, and then the rest all have these like sort of like vague corporate, all of the supernatural entities exist as sort of horrific corporations that are doing dumb things.
Right, right. How much of that was inspired by our world, by what you see? Because when you're saying that he's like, wait, I didn't sign up for that. I was thinking of, oh, Wells Fargo made him an account that he didn't ask for.
Yeah. So the true story is that I was a corporate sales rep when I came up with the idea for that. And the reason I came up with the idea, well, I really wanted to do sort of a Faustian demonic bargain. I'd been playing with this idea for an urban fantasy. And then we all got called into a meeting one day because some sales rep had done this. They had gone to a bunch of their clients and just sort of like signed them up for stuff and been like, it'll be fine. And then got caught. And, so they were all like, don't do this. And I was like, wait a second. Oh, such an interesting. I went home and like started writing. Yeah.
That guy was literally a demon.
Yeah, literally. I had a little bit of sympathy also as a struggling sales rep. I was like, I mean, I get the temptation, but yeah.
Right.
But yes, very, very much inspired by some real world events that have occurred around me.
Oh my gosh, that's so funny. Well, I get the feeling that your urban fantasy has a lot of humor in it. Are you funny when you're writing these books?
The urban fantasy does have a little bit of humor to it. It is. I don't know that they are comedies, but because they're also very dark. But they
Okay.
The main character interacts a lot of things with humor.
Okay.
And a lot of the plot lines are sort of ridiculous, right? Like a demon, forges your signature on a
Yes.
that is inherently like a ridiculous comedic thing, but also a very
Right.
serious thing at the same time.
Yes.
There is in one of the later books, he gets to go. He crosses the veil and he meets Death, and Death basically runs like a post office. Because they have to deliver all the souls, and he gets a tour of like an Amazon factory. So there is like an absurdism to it, but then it's also
Right.
it is very serious too.
Right.
And so a lot of times he gets shown how the world works, and he's like, "That's so dumb." But then like very major
But
consequences
it has
attached to
huge
it.
stakes. Yeah.
Yes. Yeah.
Yeah, the stakes are big.
Exactly.
Well, what was your writing journey like? Because you said a corporate background and you have the big video game YouTube channel. When did you decide, hey, I want to write a book?
I have always wanted to be a writer for as long as I can remember. I grew up like absorbing books, reading constantly. I told everyone I was going to be a writer. I started writing Soul Fraud right after I graduated college. But then what I always say is that I became a YouTuber on accident. YouTube really became popular while I was in college. I started doing some with my friends. I really enjoyed the creative aspect of building videos and all of this. And it was the first time that you could make this kind of stuff and people would just sort of get it, right?
Right.
With the rise of a lot of indie stuff, writing, movies, film, all of it used to be so much more red tape to like get to make something. And it was
Right.
like just sort of plopped in your lap and like, oh, you can make it now. And so books took a little longer to get like more popular in indie. And I just sort of gravitated towards what I could do.
Right.
And then I found some success. And next thing I knew, I was doing it full time. I was working corporate sales. I was writing and I was making YouTube videos. And then the YouTube videos took off. I moved, I quit corporate. I moved to LA. And then next thing I knew, it had been like 6 or 7 years and I hadn't been writing because the YouTube channel just took up all my time. So during the pandemic, I was about to turn 30 and I was like, why have I not finished that book I started in my 20s? So I dug out Soul Fraud, which was about 2/3 written or so. And sat down and finished it. And then I was like, all right, well, now what? And that's when well, yeah, but also that's when I discovered like the indie book space that had begun to grow and all of this stuff.
Right.
And I sort of assumed that being a YouTuber, publishing companies would just all sort of be all over me. And we sent it to a few agents and they said really nice things, but said, I don't think I can sell this book. Because urban fantasy had sort of fallen out of favor. And so then I discovered indie and I was like, oh, this is very similar to what I'm already doing, just for a different medium. And so I dove in and then I started writing more books and meeting people and learning from how they were going through the process. And now I've been writing, not full-time, but full-time in the sense of, it is a regular portion of like what I'm doing just about every single day for a few years now.
Oh, I love that. And I noticed that you had a BookTube channel too. Are you still keeping that going? Are you a booktuber also?
I try to be. Right now, there's not enough Andrew for all of the things that need to get done. So
BookTube, that.
Yeah, BookTube has to be a little lower on the priority. As much as I love to talk about, I'm just a giant book nerd deep down. So that's a project that's sort of on hiatus that I hope to do more with. But right now, the most important thing is writing more books. So that's what we've been focusing on a little bit.
Yeah, and you have 2 books coming out, right? Doesn't Ironbound have a sequel coming
Correct.
soon?
Yes. The sequel to Ironbound, which is called Cold Wind, will be out in May. So we have 2 books coming out in the first half of the year. Yeah, it's going to be busy. And then Hopefully, another one towards the end of the year, but we'll see. I have to finish it.
Yeah, right, right. Well, how many books do you think you'll have in the Ironbound series? Do you know?
Right now, it is slated to be four,
Okay.
and that will be sort of the end of the arc. There's always a chance that we could do some more with it. I'm also interested in maybe writing a prequel series to it later. But for now, the main storyline will be four.
Okay. And what about the Deck Collective series? You already have how many? Book five
Uh,
is coming out, right?
book five is coming out. I believe that it will be at least seven, possibly
Okay.
eight. Yeah, it'll be a little longer.
Yeah, I know with urban fantasies, like us humans, it keeps spiraling. So sometimes those series can go on quite a
Well,
bit.
it does, and also a lot of urban fantasy has a sort of episodic nature to it,
Hmm.
where you're
Right.
expected to solve something in that particular
Something.
book, even as
Right,
you advance.
exactly.
And so it's interesting because the pacing does end up working out differently, because you have to spend more time presenting a new problem and solving it while also doing the other
While
one.
also seeing your character growing. Right.
Yeah,
That
yeah.
arc. Yeah.
So I know that there's at least a couple more pieces that need to happen to bring it all together. And so I am going to start writing book six, which is called Present Day, probably in next month or so. And then we'll see where that ends, if it's going to be seven or eight.
Okay, fun, fun. Well, I know since you're a book nerd, we like to add to our to be read list. So, who inspires you? Obviously, Jim Butcher, but do you have other authors on your list that you're like, heck yes, a new book?
Yeah, I mean, Jim is definitely a huge inspiration, both on the urban fantasy side and the Roman side. I read him just at a very formative time, so he sets the bar. I love Pierce Brown's Red Rising, Christopher Rocchio's The Sun Eater series. I truly love a lot of space opera. That's like a
Oh,
thing
okay.
that like really, really gets me. The Lives of Locke Lamora by Scott Lynch is also phenomenal. And I feel like all of these are let's see what else. Oh, Matt Dinniman's Dungeon Crawler Carl has been a super fun thing to be reading over the last. I had to go look at my shelf behind me. Like
I
what
know,
else?
right?
What
Yeah,
else have
my
I been
brain's a
reading?
sieve. Yes. So, do you think that the video games, because my son is a big video gamer, and there are obviously so many stories, and D&D also. Do you feel like somewhere down the road you're going to have a video game inspired, series that's a little,
Maybe. I mean, obviously there's like the lit RPG genre and those kind of things that are really growing in popularity. I think that progression fantasy is probably as close as I'll get right now, because progression
okay,
fantasy has some of those video game rules to it, right? It has sort of
right,
a sense of the power is really defined and you are kind of leveling up, you're achieving these things. It can feel like a video game, but it's still very much in its own world.
right.
I I do have. I say that there is a chance that I will bleed over into using some of those things. I think they're interesting to combine. It's a cool sort of emerging genre.
Hmm.
But I tend to prefer when it's not in a video game, but rather still grounded in a sort of real world setting.
Right.
But we'll see. We'll see how things evolve.
Yeah, yeah, never say never.
Yeah, exactly, exactly.
So, you mentioned you're writing the next Debt Collective series, but what's next for you when this series is done? Are you going to continue in fantasy? But you mentioned space opera. Do you have a sci-fi up your sleeve? What are you thinking about?
I do have a sort of sci-fi-y thing sitting there that I have to think about. And I need to be careful because it would be spoilers for some things, so I can't talk about it too
Oh,
much.
okay, okay.
But there is something with a little bit of a sci-fi angle that I would like to do. I also would like to write a non-linear progression fantasy. So something that sort of has like multiple timelines going on, like Name of the Wind or something like this, that I've been fiddling with. So I need to pick one. But I think that really two series at once is about what I think I can do. So I have a couple more books to go before I have to pick another
Right, before you
series.
have to pick
Yeah.
which direction. Well, I think that storytelling style is certainly at least, in streaming and things, because Netflix has Dark, which jumps back and forth all the different timelines, and you're like, wow, what is it?
Totally.
And there's another one that does, the Godzilla on Apple, that Godzilla Monarch, Godzilla Monsters or whatever. That one has the timeline, and that one has the unique. They have like Kurt Russell is present day him, and his son is past him, and I'm
which is great casting. What great casting! Yes,
yeah, what a great opportunity for them too. I'm like, that doesn't happen very often that you can have that quality of actor and have them actually related and look alike.
I know. Wow. It works out for everybody.
Right. But I think I don't remember in the past there being this many shows that make use of that multiple timeline, where you're like, wait, where are we and what's happening now? And so I'm interested to see more books that utilize that, because it does keep you, your attention is honed in, because you really have to pay attention, because all of a sudden you're like, wait a second, wait, doing math.
Yeah. Well, and you could do such interesting foreshadowing, right? The Sun Eater series, I love also the concept of when the story is being told in terms of when it occurs. So the Sun Eater series, for anyone who's not familiar, the premise is that it is the memoirs of a man who destroys the sun to save humanity. Not like this our sun, but like a sun around a planet. And it's him telling his story, but from the very first page, he's like, I am the one who blew up a sun, who killed billions in order to save us. I am hated for this, and yet we live. Anyway, here's my story. And so for 7 books, you're like, he's going to blow up a sun. And that's just such a cool thing to have dangling over you as you go through. So I love that kind of stuff, and I really want to fiddle with it.
Yes, when you brought that up, it made me think of there's a silly comedy called The Hot Tub Time Machine that does that so well.
Yes. The time travel's phenomenal in that movie.
Yeah. In the beginning, the guy has one arm, and then they go back, and all these things happen, and every time they're like, "Oh my God, no, his arm is fine."
Yeah.
The whole movie you're watching, going, "When is his arm?" He does crazy things. He's juggling chainsaws. Nope, his arm is fine.
Yep. No, you're so right. I forgot. I haven't thought about a Hot Tub Time Machine in years, but you're so right.
Yeah, my little Google lady in my brain, that was what she threw out. Hey, Hot Tub Time Machine.
What a throwback.
Right? I know. She's very random. Every once in a while, though, she pulls out a doozy.
Yeah. That was perfect.
Yeah. Oh my gosh. Well, when you are writing, and you said you're a pantser, but when you're writing, do things inspire you? Like, do you like to read other books by authors that you enjoy? Do you like to watch TV? Is it video games? What gives you the next, that's what's going to happen?
I think I steal from everything that I do, which is, I love film, but I also I read a lot. Stephen King's book on writing, like one of his recommendations is like read every day. And I don't quite read every day, but I do try to always have a book going, to really just stay in it. I love to see, I kind of consider storytelling to be very similar to magic, like a magician, right? Where like a lot of it is in the sleight of hand and so I love just seeing how other people do the trick. And then, taking little pieces or learning from somebody as they go. So yeah, I definitely, as I'm consuming anything, I often am thinking about how did they do that?
Right.
And sometimes I will be stuck on something and I'll see how they solve it in another show or movie or book, and I'll go, ha, that's great. I'm just gonna write that down.
That's gonna help. Yeah. I love that, because sometimes once you're a writer, you start critically looking at things as a writer, and you're like, why did I love that so much? And then you go back and you reread or you rewatch. You're like, what did they do that made me, there it is, and then sometimes it will inspire me to write something different just because I want to do that too.
Yeah. I mean, you see them do the trick and you're like, I want to do that trick. That trick looks awesome. 100%. That's like a huge part of the thing, I think. Art imitates life, imitates art. So we're all sort of doing the same thing and juggling and going, ooh, I can juggle 4. Oh yeah,
Right.
like a jungle five. And
I'm going to do it on one foot.
Yeah, exactly.
Yes. I love that. Well, before we run out of time, when you are not doing videos or writing books or, all the million things that you do, what do you enjoy to unplug, to just do something different, and what inspires you?
Uh, my most recent hobby has been getting into building and maintaining fish tanks.
Wow.
I
Okay.
know. Yeah, I know. So I have a couple freshwater fish tanks that I are like full of living plants that I have to sort of tend to, like little gardens and
Aw.
stuff like that. And it's fun to sort of build little worlds and ecosystems and then maintain them, and take care of them, keep an eye on them, and that kind of stuff. I found that's sort of becoming my like old man who builds trains hobby is like,
Yes.
yeah, yeah.
We all need something.
I sort of dream of having like property with like a shed that's just full of fish tanks that I go
All the
out to
fish.
and like putter around. So
Yes.
that's what I'm devolving into. I think actually in the back of a couple of my like most recent books, it says something like, thank you so much for buying this book. You're helping to feed my fish. So at some point I should probably show them off because that's pretty much what it is.
Uh-huh. Yeah. Oh, I love that. I love that. But as a fantasy author, making fish tanks is making other worlds, and you have little creatures moving around in there. So it's kind of an offshoot.
You're right. You're right. I do sort of feel like a puny little god being like, yes, my creation.
Yes. Look, I got you guys a new light.
Yep. Worship me, for I feed you. Yeah, there's probably something to unpack there. You're not wrong.
Entertain me.
Yep.
Oh my gosh. Well, when someone reads your books and they get really excited, how can they get in touch with you? You must be on social media, right?
I am. Yes. I'm on pretty much all the major platforms. I'm usually under the @Sigils, which is spelled Sigils, like the magical item. The exception to that is I do have a book TikTok, like a separate book talk account, which is Give Reads. GIV Reads, just like my last name, the first half of my last name, Givler. And that's where you can find me on TikTok for more book related stuff, as well as my BookTube channel. But in terms of like Instagram and Twitter, they're both Sigils.
Okay. And are you going to any events or anything where people can meet you this year?
Yes, I'm planning on being at Dragon Con, Lit RPG Con. I'm hoping to go to Worldcon in Anaheim as well, and potentially Dragonsteel towards the end of the year.
Okay, so everybody who is going to Dragon Con, Worldcon, all those, be sure that you look for Andrew. Are you going to sign books there, do you think?
I know that at Dragon Con, there will be my publisher will have a booth, so
Yay.
that will be a possibility, I believe. I do not know for the other conventions yet.
Okay, sounds good. Well, thanks so much for being here today. And everyone, go grab a copy of Ironbound. It sounds fantastic. And for all the urban fantasy lovers, that Debt Collection series sounds like a lot of fun. And both series are getting new books, one next month in the Debt Collection series, and book 2 of Ironbound will be out in May. So you have time to read the first book and be ready. And thanks so much for being here today, Andrew.
Thank you so much for having me.
Thanks for joining us on Booklights. Be sure to connect with us at www.readersentertainment.com for articles, blogs, videos, and podcasts that matter to readers.